Malibu-Lost Hills Sheriff Station, Deputy Shalip. How can I help you?
Hi, I'm calling from Joffrey's restaurant in Malibu.
Yeah.
We have a guest here who is refusing to pay her bill, and we think she sounds really crazy. She may be on drugs or something.
I said, well, how did you get here? Why are you here? I followed the signs and the voices.
She was rambling. She saw the sign. She was able to decode the message.
The 24-year-old was arrested last September for skipping out on an $85 restaurant bill. Afterward, she walked out of the Lost Hills station and vanished.
She was released from the station after 12:30 a.m. with no cell phone, no purse, and no car, and 40 miles from home.
I thought they were going to keep her overnight. Something is obviously going on with her.
They had informed me that she had been released already, and I was stunned. I couldn't believe that.
What's your name?
Her name is Mitrice Richardson.
If Mitrice Richardson's name was Spears or Lohan, they would never let her walk out by herself. They would have escorted her home.
For so long, we had been told that there was no video footage of Mitrice in custody.
He said, we have no video surveillance whatsoever. He's lying.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind that Mitrice was murdered.
Mitrice Richardson vanished into the night on September 17, 2009. She was released from the jail at the Lost Hills Malibu Sheriff Station after midnight with nothing but the clothes on her back. No purse, no money, no cell phone, no car. 11 months later, the 24-year-old college graduate's remains were found here in Dark Canyon. She was naked and partially mummified. How did she get here? Was she murdered? There are still so many unanswered questions. What was Mitrice like growing up?
Mitrice was a joy growing up. She was such a ball of energy.
As a little girl, she was always, into everything.
Just a great kid, always posing, center of attention. She was my heartbeat. She was my everything.
This is Mitrice Richardson.
She was a beauty queen, she was a cheerleader, she was an amazing student.
Mitrice Richardson.
She was very loving, vivacious personality, but full of life. I mean, she would walk into a room and she would make sure that everyone took notice.
She wanted to be a child psychologist, and she wanted to specifically work with the children in the foster care system. She'd planned on going to grad school and pursue that dream.
My name is Letice Sutton, and I am the mother of Mitrice Richardson.
Hey, fairy princess.
And if anybody got a problem with you wearing a crown, they could taste my one.
They're down there teasing Mitrice.
Did you ever see any signs of maybe some mental health struggles growing up with her?
I did not. I didn't start to question if something was wrong with her until it was close to when I lost her, when I would receive a bizarre text message from her that didn't make sense. But when I would call her and question, what is this about? She would explain it away.
Now, there were a few times that her behavior was concerning to me. It was really subtle, though. My name is Dr. Rhonda Hampton, and I'm a clinical psychologist. Mitrice Richardson was my intern during her final year of college. We would talk about just psychological theory and ethics and law, and she just knew that stuff. It was just fascinating to me. You could almost see her brain working.
But what was really going on in Mitrice's brain? As the sun set on the night of September 16, 2009, Mitrice steered her Honda Civic north on Pacific Coast Highway to Joffrey's restaurant in Malibu, a place known for its ocean views, celebrity sightings, and twinkling lights.
She said she saw the lights and the lights kind of invited her in.
Mitrice's behavior bizarre off the bat. The Joffrey's valet described her car as ransacked, disheveled chaos. Mitrice then climbed into the valet's car, where he saw her rifling through his CDs. The valet asked if she was okay. It's subliminal, she said.
He reported that she started talking to him about the language of numbers and asked if he understood, and he said no. And she said, well, I'm here to avenge Michael Jackson's death. I greeted Mitrice. I was a hostess.
Caroline seated Mitrice alone. She ordered a $65 Kobe beef New York steak and an ocean breeze cocktail.
I saw that she had gotten up from her table and walked and joined another table that was a large party.
The people in that large party later told detectives that Mitrice seemed unbalanced, mentally ill, and spoke in riddles.
A young lady sat down next to one of my coworkers. She said that she was late, but that she followed the signs.
Just sat there, and we looked around thinking, is this a waitress? Do we know her?
When she came to the table, she had some sort of, fruity type, umbrella type drink.
There was something obviously wrong with her, but we knew she wasn't being malicious.
Obviously wrong, meaning?
The way she was babbling, something mentally.
She had some mental issues?
Had a mental issue.
But it just didn't seem like someone that was drunk. Again, she wasn't slurring her words.
She really could not string, intelligent thoughts together.
Something about cracking a code and that the voices, and we said, well, are voices talking to you now? Oh, yeah.
Later, Mitrice started to walk out of the restaurant without paying her $89 tab.
She said, I don't have to worry about my meal, Caroline. She said, because God told me that it would be taken care of, and with the language of numbers, it makes sense. And she said, I was at work today and I saw that soap opera come on where the actress, does her thing. And I just knew I had to drive, and I knew I had to drive here.
Caroline and the restaurant manager tried to help find someone to pay Mitrice's bill, but Mitrice didn't have her cell phone, and the only number she could remember was her great-grandmother Mildred's.
And her great-grandmother said, I'm 91 years old. I can't drive down there. And she was really distraught and worried about Mitrice.
The Joffrey's manager later told detectives that Mitrice claimed she was from Mars. She planned to have sex with him, and her eyes melted into the computer screen as if in a trance.
I checked with some employees and asked, maybe while she was on the phone, and just said, why don't we just pay for her and pull our money together? And one of them said, I don't think that's the right thing to do for her sake. She's not safe to go out on her own. So we decided it was safest and the right thing to do to get her to the police. I don't think we would make that same decision today.
The owner of Joffrey's, Jeff Peterson, spoke with us by phone.
It wasn't about arresting her and about money. It was about getting her help. You can't just put them in their car and send them down the road. You don't say you're from Mars. You don't make up languages and talk in gibberish and then give somebody their keys and say, have a nice day.
Lost Hills Sheriff Station, Deputy Shalette, how can I help you?
Hi, I'm calling from Joffrey's restaurant in Malibu.
Yeah.
We have a guest here who is refusing to pay her bill, and we think she sounds really crazy. She may be on drugs or something. We are wondering if someone could come by and pick her up.
Within minutes, 3 LA County Sheriff's deputies arrived at the restaurant. Mitrice passed a field sobriety test. Her car was searched. Deputies found less than an ounce of marijuana in the console. The manager who watched the search later told detectives there were also empty pill bottles, along with 2 full gallons of Smirnoff vodka, half a case of Tecate beer, and half a container of tequila in the trunk.
And so I just thought, okay, whatever she has going on, they'll get to the bottom of and be able to help her and keep her safe.
They told us that the only way we could get her help was we needed to do a citizen's arrest, and we were assured that this is how they could take her and get her help.
The valet later testified in a civil lawsuit filed by Mitrice's parents against LA County and the Sheriff's Department that he asked one of the deputies what's wrong with her. The deputy replied, quote, she's a ding.
That's a recognition the deputy knows there's a mental issue.
Retired LA County Sheriff Sergeant Roger Clark spent 27 years with the LASD and testified as a police procedures expert for the family.
So the ding comment was key. It's something a civilian typically doesn't know. but it's common in the profession.
We took that he recognized that there was a mental illness or there was something wrong with her. So we don't know why they didn't take her for a mental health evaluation. Now, obviously, this went horribly wrong.
And those police officers, we made it clear that something is going on with her. Something is mentally unstable. And so whatever was going on, the valet and I and her server and the manager all witnessed and communicated.
Deputy Armando Loureiro handcuffed Mitrice and put her in the back of his patrol car. Joffrey's employees were certain she would be taken somewhere for a mental health evaluation. Instead, Deputy Loureiro took Mitrice to the Lost Hills Sheriff's Station, where she was handcuffed and locked in a jail cell. Coming up next.
I am calling. I'm a little frazzled right now. I understand my daughter is being brought into the station. Mitrice Richardson. I think the only way I will come and get her tonight is if you guys are going to release her tonight. I mean, she's not from that area, and I would hate to wake up to a morning report, girl lost somewhere with her head chopped off.
Handcuffed in the back of a patrol car, 24-year-old Mitrice Richardson was transported to the Malibu-Lost Hills Sheriff's Station in Calabasas late on the night of September 16, 2009. It's a 20-mile drive from Joffrey's restaurant in Malibu, where she was arrested, along dark, windy roads that cut through the Santa Monica Mountains. Mitrice's mother, Lettice Sutton, called the patrol station while Mitrice was still en route.
I am calling. I'm a little frazzled right now. I understand my daughter is being brought into the station. Mitrice Richardson. Have they made it to the station yet? And she's been booked.
The only place we have somebody that's in custody that they just announced on the radio that they're coming up is from Joffrey's in Pacific Coast Highway. It's the only female that's being brought up to the station as we speak. They actually just put it on the radio right before you called.
Okay. I'm her mother, and are you guys going to book her and then release her on her own recognizance tonight? Because it's dark, she doesn't have a car, and I don't want her wandering out. I'm totally just taken aback because this is so out of character for her. Yeah. And you'll see when she comes in, she's well spoken. I think the only way I will come and get her tonight is if you guys are going to release her tonight. If she's going to be held in custody for some type of arraignment tomorrow, then I will wait until tomorrow. She definitely has no place, I mean, she's not from that area, and I would hate to wake up to a morning report, girl lost somewhere with her head chopped off, so I guess I would have to come and get her. Oh, my God.
When I made the statement, I often wonder, did I foretell what was to come? Did I speak it into existence? I beat myself up about that.
The only thing is, at least in the station here, she will be separated, so nobody's going to be with her. So at least that's, the plus thing, so you don't have to worry about her safety.
I feel safe with her being in custody. It's being released, but I'm worried about it. It's crazy out here.
Yeah, and she'll call you as soon as she comes in, too.
That deputy, Yov Shalev, later testified in the civil case that his shift ended shortly after that phone call and that he never told the watch commanders on duty that Mitrice's mom had called concerned for her safety or that she'd pick Mitrice up if she was going to be released that night.
I was very clear that I did not want her released.
Mitrice arrives at the station around 10 p.m. This video of Mitrice inside the patrol station jail, obtained exclusively by Eyewitness News, has never been publicly released. Mitrice is searched by jailer Sharon Cummings and put inside booking cell number 1 with another female inmate. The jailer fingerprints Mitrice, takes her mugshot, and runs a check for warrants. There are no warrants. Mitrice has no criminal record. Jailer Sharon Cummings later testified that she saw no signs of mental illness or instability, and no one told her that Mitrice had been, quote, acting crazy earlier that night. The arresting deputy, Armando Loureiro, who was at the end of a 17-hour double shift that night, made no mention of Mitrice's strange behavior in an incident report. In a deposition, he testified that no one at Joffrey suggested Mitrice had a mental disorder. She appeared, quote, completely normal to him. But this email, sent 3 days after Mitrice disappeared, appears to directly contradict Loureiro's testimony. In the email, Loureiro's supervisor, Lieutenant Scott Chu, tells Lost Hills Captain Tom Martin that he spoke with Loureiro and that the deputy hard-booked Mitrice into jail because she was, quote, a little ditzy at Joffrey's. She wasn't drunk, but Loureiro felt she was acting unusual and was uneasy about just letting her go. In later depositions, however, Lieutenant Chu testified he doesn't remember the specifics of his conversation with Loureiro and does not remember writing that email. Deputy Loureiro also claimed not to remember telling Lieutenant Chu that Mitrice was acting ditzy or unusual.
The reality is this, at that scene, you got a woman who's acting that bizarre, saying they're from Mars, sitting at a table with people she doesn't know, reading their palms, talking in some made-up language. You don't need a PhD in psychology to know that that person needs to be taken down to be evaluated.
And remember, the valet, the hostess, and the manager at Joffrey's restaurant all testified they made it clear to the deputies on scene that Mitrice was acting odd and unstable.
I know that we communicated that she seemed off and that we didn't want her to go off on her own.
Later, as part of the lawsuit, Carolyn and other Joffrey's employees were bewildered when they were asked by attorneys for the sheriff's department to sign sworn declarations that did not include what they say they told deputies that night about Mitrice's erratic behavior.
Truthfully, I think they were trying to cover themselves. They had taken out a lot of the details of what made it clear that she was not okay and potentially not safe to be on her own.
The handwritten corrections made by the valet, Ken Cargill, are jarring. He wrote that he did, in fact, speak to 2 deputies that night, and one deputy told him Mitrice was a, quote, ding. He says he told them she could be a danger to herself or others.
Even the final report had so many errors in it. I'm like going, this isn't what happened. And I think it's just, we live in a world of cover your ass.
I actually do blame the sheriff's department for her death. Absolutely. Had they kept her, she wouldn't have been left to her own by herself.
Mitrice was released from the Malibu-Lost Hills station jail around midnight with no money, no cell phone, and no way to get home. The jailer says it was cold outside, and she knew Mitrice's car had been impounded. She says she offered to let Mitrice stay the night, but Mitrice refused. Current LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva would not allow us to speak with the jailer or anyone else on the department about Mitrice because he says it's still an open case.
Well, at the time, I don't think people appreciated what her mental condition was, especially if it's someone who suffers from maybe a bipolar disorder, something where they appear rational in one moment and then irrational the next. In a tragedy like this, hindsight's always 20/20. We don't connect the dots because sometimes they're just not available to be connected.
Sheriff Villanueva told us he does not believe Mitrice met the requirements for a 5150 hold, which allows authorities to hold a person until they can be evaluated by a mental health professional.
Well, the 5150 would not have survived. If she's acting somewhat rationally and is in possession of her faculties, you have 3 standards. You're either a danger to yourself, danger to others, or gravely disabled. If you don't meet any of those 3, you're not going to get a 5150 admission at a local 72-hour care facility.
How dare him say that? How dare him? He knows damn well that that is not their job to 5150. They only recommend for a 5150. They do not 5150. If someone says they're from Mars, you take them to the hospital, bottom line.
Mitrice's mom, Latice, called the station around 5:30 a.m., only to learn that her daughter had been released hours before.
I thought they were going to keep her overnight. Something is obviously going on with her.
Have you talked to the jailer?
Yes, I have. He said he tried to get her disabled because she was an adult. They had to let her go.
What's her
name? Her name is Mitrice Richardson.
Coming up, did the sheriff's department botch an early chance to find Mitrice alive?
We had a prowler walking around through the backyard here. I don't know if you have a unit in the area, might do a little drive-by or something. A tall, slim black woman with afro hair.
And did this deputy, who left the patrol station minutes after Mitrice, see which way she went?
And so we were wondering, who is this officer? He has to know something. He had to see her.
We tracked him down. It's about 6:30 in the morning, September 17th, 2009. 6 hours after Mitrice walked out of the Malibu-Lost Hills station, she's spotted 5.5 miles away in the backyard of Bill and Karen Smith's home in Montanito.
Malibu-Lost Sheriff Station office, can I help you? Yeah, hi. Hey, this is Smith at Cold Canyon. We had a prowler walking around through the backyard here.
What's she look like? White, black, Hispanic?
You know, a tall, slim black woman with afro hair, very skinny. And I think she was wearing maybe jeans or tight pants with a T-shirt.
Karen Smith spoke with us by phone.
And I saw somebody sitting on the top step of the 6 railroad ties that we have in the backyard. I called down and said, "Are you okay?" And the answer was, "Yes, I'm just resting." And by the time we went around to the other window, she was gone.
At this point in the morning, Mitrice's mom had already called the station again, frantic, asking to file a missing persons report.
She doesn't know the area. She's never been in your area.
And yet there was no apparent urgency by deputies to check out this sighting.
The sheriff's station people came over a couple of hours, an hour or two later, I think, and talked with us in our driveway.
When they got that call from Bill Smith, her mother was distraught, crying hysterically on the phone just an hour ago. Why wouldn't we go and make sure that wasn't Mitrice there? It's like they didn't connect the dots, or are they inept that they didn't connect the dots? Why? They thought she was a throwaway person. I don't know. They thought she wasn't loved by a family.
Mitrice Richardson missing in this area, please.
The search for Mitrice spanned 11 months and 20 square miles. All the while, family and friends pressed the sheriff's department. They say they asked again and again, is there any video of Mitrice at the station that night?
For so long, we had been told that there was no video footage of Mitrice in custody.
He said, we have no video surveillance whatsoever. He's lying.
The desire to hide the video is just unbelievable.
4 months after Mitrice disappeared, in a meeting between then Sheriff Lee Baca and the family, then Lost Hills Captain Tom Martin acknowledged he did have video footage of Mitrice at the station. Martin told us, quote, "I did not intentionally try to deceive them." Martin says the family only asked for video of Mitrice leaving the station. He says he only watched one part of the video that showed Mitrice getting booked at the station and did not see the footage of her walking out the door that night.
So we finally saw the video footage, and I became very alarmed. There's a time where it seems like she kind of loses it, and she's grabbing on to this meshing. She's trying to break it down, trying to get out somehow, but it's just bizarre.
Then, 2 minutes after Mitrice walks out of the station, the family notices something else.
There was someone that walked out, a shadow that walked out after her as she left the station.
And so we were wondering, who is this officer? He has to know something. He had to see her.
We tracked down that deputy. He says no one has ever asked him about Mitrice. He's not even sure he worked that night. He told us he never saw her. We asked Sheriff Villanueva about that deputy.
Yes, that deputy, they reviewed his logs and everything. It was totally unrelated. Just doing his job. It just had nothing to do with her case.
The reason why it's all suspicious is because everything's so secret. You start becoming suspicious of anything.
Hundreds of law enforcement personnel, including rescue dogs, are searching an 18-square-mile area for 24-year-old Mitrice Richardson.
She could have walked anywhere here. I'm a Tui Wright, and I'm a retired sheriff sergeant. I was the former team supervisor for the Malibu Search and Rescue Team out of Malibu-Lost Hills Station.
Retired Sheriff Sergeant Tui Wright showed us where tracks from Mitrice's van sneakers were spotted leaving the back of Bill and Karen Smith's house in Montanito.
And one of our trackers, it was his opinion that she had gone from walking to running. A track will indicate the way the dirt falls that somebody was running.
Search dogs picked up Mitrice's scent heading east on Cold Canyon Road.
The scent, the dog's interest petered out right around this area. If you follow this creek, eventually it leads you deep into Dark Canyon. There's a spot where you can see the beginning of where Dark Canyon gets wild. It's a real mystery as to what happened. We just don't know.
In January of 2010, teams staged one of the largest searches in Sheriff's Department history.
Search and rescue teams came from all over California. And that included ATVs, personnel on horseback, bicycle riders, teams on foot, helicopters.
Drones soared over Malibu Canyon in April. Investigators ran down a rumored sighting of Mitrice in Las Vegas and even claims that Mitrice was being held captive by white supremacists. For the family, perhaps the most disturbing find, a freshly painted mural found in June 2010, not far from where Mitrice disappeared. Letice believes the women's afros, the marijuana joint, and the initials LA were not a coincidence.
I believe that whoever painted this was painting a story of what happened to Mitrice. The sheriff's department felt that it was very unrelated, didn't have anything to do with Mitrice. They claimed that it was just a local tagger whose body of work depicts African American women.
Another dead end. Coming up next.
Now it's real, it's confirmed. It is Mitrice. Mitrice is gone. And while we were up there, we uncovered another one of Mitrice's body part. We need to get somebody out here.
August 9th, 2010, 11 months after Mitrice went missing, California State Park Rangers hiked deep into the rugged terrain of Dark Canyon, searching for signs of an illegal marijuana farm that had been run by a Mexican drug cartel. 1 year earlier, the pot farm had been raided, more than 1,000 plants uprooted in Dark Canyon alone. Now, the Rangers wanted to know, had the cartel returned? Instead, they found skeletal human remains, Mitrice Richardson, naked and partially mummified, mostly obscured by mulch, twigs, and leaves, her skull and spinal cord detached. What happened next here in Dark Canyon is still in dispute. Homicide detectives and a search and rescue team were airlifted into the ravine. The helicopter was then supposed to bring in a coroner's team to process the scene. But Air 5 got diverted twice to rescue stranded hikers miles away from Dark Canyon. By the time the helicopter returned, the sun was setting and Air 5 was running out of fuel.
We were told that they were going to leave her remains there into the morning because it was getting dark.
But then when we saw the helicopter hovering, and then we saw what looked like the gurney basket being hoisted up into the helicopter, then we knew that Mitrice was being moved.
The coroner's report states that LASD detectives collected the remains and airlifted them out, against the direction of Assistant Chief Coroner Ed Winter.
There was a big falling out when her remains were found. Everyone knows you do not touch a body or evidence of a crime till the coroner gets there.
Incompetence. That's just incompetence. I think when those sheriffs decided to remove her body against the coroner's orders, they did not allow for the scene to be properly evaluated by the coroners themselves. That's problematic.
He says things like, well, it was getting late and our guys were worried that some animals was going to come out. So they, it was almost nightfall. But you let my daughter out at 12:15 and you got a guy here with a gun.
The lead homicide detective later told investigators that he believed he did get permission from a different member of the coroner's team.
I know there was some miscommunication between the coroners at the time and the investigators, and again, not a perfect situation. And we did not have the personnel to post people there overnight. That's a fantasy. Our department is a bare bones operation. It's always been that way.
These are flimsy excuses. They don't hold water. Once the remains of a human being are located under any circumstance, short of oncoming fire or flood that's going to destroy the site has to be preserved, because the assumption is this may be foul play.
Things only got worse from there. The next day, the coroner's team tried to return to the scene, but first claimed Air 5 had dropped them in the wrong canyon. A later investigation revealed the coroner's team forgot their GPS device. they were unable to find the site.
The coroner's behavior is also unbelievable to me. How do you, this is your job every day, how do you leave bones down here? How do you forget your GPS?
It took 2 more weeks before the coroner's team returned to the actual site. They found 9 more of Mitrice's bones. But when Letice, Lauren, Rhonda, and independent forensic anthropologist Kleakoff hiked into the site in Dark Canyon months later, they were shaken by a gruesome discovery.
It was important for me to go to the site where Mitrice's remains were found because I needed to memorialize that area. And while we were up there, Clea was showing me what they do as anthropologists at a scene where, remains have been found. And during her moving of the dirt is when we uncovered one of Mitrice's finger bones.
I just remember being shocked and angry and then, and afraid.
What else is out here?
The coroner's team returned to the scene again and found even more of Mitrice's bones. The coroner's office declined multiple requests for an interview. Ultimately, they ruled the cause of Mitrice's death to be undetermined, not a homicide.
I know that Mitrice didn't get to that location by herself.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind that Mitrice was murdered.
They were just trying to say to us all along that she had actually wandered into that area, took all her clothes off, laid down and died in Dark Canyon by herself, and somehow had portions of her body dismembered. I just, it doesn't make sense.
Somehow, in the midst of a mental health crisis, Mitrice made it from the Lost Hills Sheriff Station in Calabasas to Bill and Karen Smith's house in Montanito, 5.5 miles away. From there, she traveled at least another mile to where her remains were found in Dark Canyon, her belt, bra, and jeans scattered hundreds of feet down the ravine.
She was took there against her will, tortured, and when they was done, they killed her.
Was Mitrice murdered? With so many missteps along the way, we may never know.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
And on the day Mitrice was laid to rest, her family suffered yet another indignity. Kleakoff, that forensic anthropologist helping the family, flew in to conduct her own independent examination. Inside Mitrice's body bag, a shocking discovery. A bag of Mitrice's clothing that had never been sent to the crime lab for testing.
The clothing that was collected that the Sheriff's Department believes belonged to Mitrice Richardson, who was naked. A 24-year-old woman who's been missing for 10 months and 3 weeks is found naked. Her clothes are found. They were never sent or requested to be sent to the crime lab.
I think it was an intentional act on somebody's part. I don't think you accidentally leave clothing in a body bag. Those things have to be inventoried and accounted for. Chain of custody.
Those clothing items should have gone to the crime lab. I mean, how does that happen? So that just furthered my distrust even more of the Sheriff's Department.
According to Kleakoff's report, jewelry was still entwined in Mitrice's hair and insect casings, none of which had been collected. The remains were dirty.
And they didn't care, even to the point where when we were received her remains at the mortuary, they just delivered her like she was just not important, with dirt and leaves and sticks.
Mitrice, partially mummified and naked, her left arm tightly flexed against her chest, suggesting to some that she'd been confined somehow, wrapped up.
There had to be something that, one, held her arm in a tightly flexed position, and two, just the environment. There was no way. I mean, she had to be enclosed somewhere at some point for it to partially mummify.
I think that somebody may have murdered her someplace else and thought that this was a good place to dispose of her remains.
Mitrice's socks, shoes, undergarments, and shirt were never found, nor were many of her bones, notably her hyoid bone in her neck, which can indicate if a person was strangled. Mitrice's family fought to have her remains exhumed and re-examined. but there were still no answers. Before Black Lives Matter became a movement, there was Mitrice Richardson.
All of the facts of the case leads me to believe they just didn't care about her. She wasn't important. She was just a black girl, that's all.
3 months after Mitrice disappeared, Congresswoman Maxine Waters called on the FBI to get involved. But then Sheriff Lee Baca did not want the FBI's help.
We have nothing to hide in this case. The point is there's a lot of factors beyond just the Sheriff's Department that need to be explained.
Baca later served time in federal prison for lying to the FBI and obstruction of justice in an unrelated probe of abuse and corruption inside Sheriff Department jails.
Oh, I absolutely believe that the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is responsible for what happened to Mitrice Richardson. I believe that they had it within their hands and within their power to keep her safe, and they did not do that.
To see that, she was not regarded as a human, just like anybody else would have been, regardless if she was a celebrity or not.
Lauren is referring to deputies from that same Malibu-Lost Hills patrol station who personally drove the actor Mel Gibson to get his car at the tow yard 11 miles away after his 2006 drunk driving arrest and anti-Semitic tirade.
All because they didn't have status that society likes. Oh, this is a superstar. Or somebody you can come back and say, hey, guess who I took home last night? I took Mel Gibson home, man. Great guy, great guy.
If Mitrice Richardson's name was Spears or Lohan, they would never let her walk out by herself. They would have escorted her home.
It is well known that women of color don't get the attention of others who are missing.
Lacey Peterson's family reported her missing.
Please, let us have her back. The search for Gabby Petito growing more desperate by the hour.
Urgent search underway in Los Angeles.
The search continues for Holly Courtier.
Missing white woman syndrome is the term coined for the disparity in news coverage and law enforcement attention between black and white missing persons.
Petito's story has renewed debate about which cases get attention and the media's seeming infatuation with missing white women.
Missing white women syndrome is something that has been proven. And what that does is just reiterates whose life is worth protecting, who can be seen as a vulnerable individual, and who is being seen as someone who's not being responsible for their own lives.
So we don't have the same kind of empathy. We don't offer the same kind of treatment for these individuals, and we certainly don't offer the same kind of attention and care that we offer to other populations.
I remember shortly before Mitrice had gone missing, there was a young woman, Natalie Holloway, who had gone missing, and the whole world was looking for her. We were like shouting from the mountaintops, something's wrong, something's happened to her. And the sheriff's department is like, oh, she's just a runaway, and she'll come home when she's ready.
Unfortunately, I don't believe that Mitrice's case will ever be solved because I don't think that anybody in the criminal justice system cares enough. They have signed, sealed, and delivered. Nobody did anything wrong.
Multiple reports on the handling of Mitrice's case found no criminal wrongdoing and no violations of Sheriff's Department policy.
The way in which Miss Richardson was arrested and handled the night that she ended up disappearing could have been handled better. The investigation into any kind of malevolence or criminal activity on behalf of any sheriff's personnel or anyone else that may have been involved with Miss Richardson before she died did not establish any kind of crime.
In 2019, facing pressure from Rhonda Hampton, Sheriff Alex Villanueva ordered a new review of Mitrice's case.
Common sense says you do not release a young woman or anybody in the middle of the night with no means of caring for themselves. You do not hide a video and lie to the public about it. You do not remove remains so that her case cannot be thoroughly investigated. That does not happen. And not only that, you do not disregard the family who are fighting for her.
They actually went through and redid everything. And they knocked on doors, they talked to people, they went back to the location themselves and where the remains were recovered, and they reviewed all of the evidence. Well, the findings are that the death remains unresolved, and we don't know what was the actual cause. So until we have new information that could point us in one way or another, get new evidence, maybe new witnesses, then we could hopefully resolve this case.
Coming up.
For such a long time, I was riddled with guilt. While we were out searching for Mitrice, I often wondered if she could hear us screaming her name, but we couldn't hear her.
Mitrice Richardson would be in her mid-30s if she were alive today.
I just want everyone to remember how vibrant and beautiful Mitrice was. She wanted to be someone to make a difference in life.
Say hi, Mommy.
This picture right here, it makes me, it's so angelic, you know, that's how I picture her in heaven right now.
So I'll think about those things sometimes, you know, like probably she would have had kids, finished school. Strange that she's not here. She was just didn't have to happen. Didn't have to happen. She had such a bright future. She was such a lovely person too, you know, like so messed up. Just don't understand.
Mitrice's family believes it was an undiagnosed mental disorder that sent 24-year-old Mitrice into that downward spiral. A police psychologist who later reviewed Mitrice's journals testified that she was possibly bipolar and experiencing a manic episode that night. And a detective who also analyzed Mitrice's journals, phone records, and social media believes Mitrice had gone about 5 days with almost no sleep. Sheriff Villanueva points to reforms, including a department-wide policy that ensures arrestees are told they can voluntarily remain at the jail until morning hours.
A tragedy of different things that happened that did not allow her to obviously get the support she needed from her family, or us recognizing the fact that she probably should have stayed there longer.
So many things that went wrong, so many things. Why do you think it all played out the way that it did?
I have no answers. I have absolutely no answers.
Lettice tells us that writing a book about her deep pain was cathartic.
For such a long time, I was riddled with guilt for not just getting my youngest daughter up and just going immediately. I thought, why did I have such confidence in law enforcement? You know, maybe things would have been different.
People say, man, you gotta move on. You never move on, but you carry on.
Michael also still struggles and questions if his previous life, that included a stint in prison for robbery decades ago, is to blame.
So I felt like my daughter was sacrificed for things that I did early on in my life that I had to be accountable for, knowing that the one thing I ever did right in life, the one thing I thought was perfect to me in life, had to be taken from me.
There is no statute of limitations on murder, and all of those who loved Mitrice Richardson hope someone will come forward to finally solve this mystery.
What has been so difficult for me to live with is knowing is knowing that she died alone, without family around her. In her last moments, she didn't have anyone who loved her around her. And to know how loved Mitrice was, to not have anyone who loved her with her during her last moments, just evil was with her. That's the hardest thing for me to live with. Because of my faith, I do believe that I'm going to see Mitrice again when it's my time to go. And I look forward to the day.